N-CORPE, the Nebraska Cooperative Republican Plat Enhancement Project. In this video, we'll refer to it as N-CORPE, or simply the project. N-CORPE is a water augmentation project situated in the south-central portion of Lincoln County, about 15 miles south of North Platte, Nebraska. The project is designed to pump groundwater into a pipeline, where it will be discharged as stream flow to Medicine Creek, a subbasin of the Republican River, a watershed that drains almost 25,000 square miles to its confluence with the Smoky Hill River in northeastern Kansas, forming the Kansas River. These flows eventually drain into the Missouri River. Medicine Creek is a baseflow-dominated stream that rises from the base of the Sandhills and courses roughly 70 miles before discharging into the Republican River near Cambridge, Nebraska. The major components of the project are in the upper portion of the Medicine Creek subbasin. For reference, the Rock Creek Augmentation Project, developed by the Upper Republican NRD, is approximately 70 miles southwest of N-CORPE. N-CORPE is an interlocal agency consisting of 4 member natural resource districts, or NRDs. The Upper Republican, Middle Republican, Lower Republican, and Twin Platte NRDs comprise the membership of N-CORPE. The project lies within the boundaries of 2 member NRDs, Twin Platte and Middle Republican. The project's well field is located on the boundary of the surface water divide of the Platte and Republican rivers, shown here in green. The boundary of the Twin Platte and Middle Republican NRDs is shown here in yellow. In this video, we'll take a virtual tour of the project, along with viewing portions of Medicine Creek, starting at the upper end of the project and working downstream. This virtual tour uses imagery from a variety of sources, including Google Earth, video from aerial flyovers, and photos and video taken from the ground level. We'll start with this short flyover, heading east toward the project headquarters, where equipment and materials used to maintain the project infrastructure are stored. The N-CORPE Augmentation Project is designed to offset depletions to stream flow to the Republican River Basin by reducing the consumptive use of water used to irrigate crops and pumping water directly into Medicine Creek as stream flow. The project includes a total of 19,500 acres, of which 15,800 are certified irrigated acres. The project lands included 114 irrigation wells and center pivots that previously delivered water to crops. The NRD boundaries and basin divide are shown here in yellow and green respectively. With the exception of 1,912 acres, circled here in blue, all the acres will be retired from irrigation. The remaining center pivots and supporting equipment have already been sold off and removed, or are in the process of being removed. The augmentation project consists of 30 groundwater wells, represented here by the blue dots. This well field will pump groundwater into a main transmission pipeline and deliver water directly to the upper portions of Medicine Creek, where it will become stream flow. The main transmission pipeline to Medicine Creek, highlighted here in red, is just short of 6 miles in length and is 42 inches in diameter. While still in the final planning and design stages, the project will also have the capacity to discharge water in a pipeline north toward the Platte River for water management. A time-lapse of construction activities for the collector pipeline within the well field demonstrates how construction progressed. This pipeline will aggregate well discharges, bringing them toward the main transmission pipeline. This is also a good view of the Sandhills, where the project well field is located. This view shows the pipeline network within the well field and the main transmission line heading toward Medicine Creek. The upper portion of the pipeline is highlighted here in yellow. The system design allows for a pumping capacity of about 60,000 acre-feet per year, or around 83 cubic feet per second at a constant rate of pumping. Within the augmentation plan proposed by Nebraska, pumping rates would vary, depending on the type of operations needed for a given year. In years in which augmentation pumping is needed to ensure compliance with the Republican River Compact, referred to as compact operation years, pumping could range from 0 to 60,000 acre-feet per year. In other years, referred to as state-based operations, smaller pumping rates of about 1,800 acre-feet per year may be made. Careful monitoring of pumping rates and volumes will be conducted in real time by N-CORPE staff using a supervisory control and data acquisition, or SCADA system. An example of the type of data the SCADA system collects is the amount of water pumped from the well field and discharged to Medicine Creek or the Platte River. Here we see a screenshot of the interface for the SCADA system. We pause here to observe some additional video. Here we see the main transmission pipeline being installed. As you can see, the speed of the construction crew is quite impressive. Let's continue our tour and move south to the project discharge. Here, water flows out of the pipe and then through an energy dissipator, a structure designed to remove the powerful forces of the water exiting the pipeline. This structure will minimize potential erosion of the new stream flow as it enters the creek channel and flows downstream. Here at the discharge, we see a picture of the outlet structure and a view of the channel downstream of the outlet looking to the east. High groundwater levels were encountered at the intersection of the project pipeline and a regional natural gas pipeline. This groundwater required dewatering for the pipe installation to be completed. The dewatering area was approximately a quarter mile upstream of the project outlet. The dewatering discharge was on the order of 200 gallons per minute, or less than a half a cubic feet per second. Even this small discharge, approximated by this blue line, found its way to the channel that the pipeline discharges to, and continued to progress downstream before dewatering activities ceased. Groundwater in the area of the project outlet is near the ground surface. Less than 100 feet upstream of the project outlet, groundwater had infiltrated into a concrete vault that will house the outlet flow meter. We see in this video from February 3, 2014, that the vault had filled with groundwater and was beginning to overtop the open flange fitting for the flow meter, flowing into the discharge pipe itself. This video, downstream of the outlet, shows some of the dewatering flow that was in the channel at the time of the visit. As we pan from west to east, we see the channel of Medicine Creek. The Republican River Compact Administration, or RRCA, has adopted a groundwater model that covers a portion of the states of Nebraska, Kansas, and Colorado. The RRCA model grid is divided into 1 square mile cells. This square mile cell, here in orange, is shown in its relation to the project outlet. The model is a useful and practical tool and serves an important function to the RRCA. However, it's just a representation of the physical system and at a coarse scale of 1 mile grid cells. The model can't replace actual streamflow measurement and site observation information. Leaving the project outlet, we move into the Medicine Creek Valley, where the sandhills begin to give way to the less mantled Great Plains. For the remainder of this virtual tour, we will look at 6 locations where streamflow information was obtained by the Nebraska Department of Natural Resources, or DNR. We will also examine 3 additional sites in the lower reach of Medicine Creek. First, we'll turn to Site 1, located about 5 miles downstream from the project outlet. This location is at the bridge on Darnell Road, downstream from the headwaters of Medicine Creek. First, we look downstream on the creek, viewing the channel from the top of the bridge. From this footage, taken on January 16, 2014, we can see the flows moving south downstream through a small but well-defined channel. The same view from a few weeks later is similar, with stream flow in this upstream reach moving to the south. The view upstream at the same location provides additional information about the nature of base flow in Medicine Creek, which is born as seeps and springs. Here, those seeps are clearly visible and provide evidence of groundwater discharging into the creek. Looking more closely at this particular seep, with this video taken from a few weeks earlier, a small but established discharge is easily observed. Streamflow measurements were made by DNR staff on 2 separate occasions, each of which fell between the dates on which the videos were taken. The measured data indicated streamflow of around 1.5 cubic feet per second for both days. Moving on from Site 1, we'll go downstream about another 5 miles to the southeast to Site 2. First, however, we'll make a quick detour, just a short distance downstream from Site 1, at the bridge crossing at West Medicine Road. This location is important because it provides another visible example of groundwater discharge becoming streamflow in Medicine Creek. Here, groundwater not only discharges via seeps from the banks of the stream, but pressure heads cause groundwater to discharge into the stream bed. As shown in this close-up video, groundwater can be seen discharging up through the stream bed near the culvert entrance. This discharge under pressure results in the stream bed liquefying. You might think of it as quicksand, where basically the soil in the stream bed loses its ability to support weight because of the upward flowing groundwater discharging into the stream suspends the soil particles. This presented a challenge and modification of the culvert installation methods. Now we'll move on to Site 2. At this site, some 1.5 miles northwest of Wellfleet, Nebraska, another bridge crosses Medicine Creek as it flows to the southeast. Looking upstream at this location, it's already apparent that the size of the channel is increased, along with the flow. Similar conditions were observed at both periods during which the video was recorded. Turning downstream at the same bridge location, Medicine Creek flows southeast. Comparable conditions were observed on January 16th. This site provides yet another excellent example of the gaining nature of the creek and the real-world conditions that define the interaction between the groundwater and the surface water flows in the creek. Seeps can be clearly seen on the west or right bank of Medicine Creek, entering the channel just upstream of the bridge crossing. As shown here, the groundwater spills out of this bottomless stock tank, flowing out toward the creek channel. Total creek stream flows here were also measured by the DNR and showed stream flow slightly less than 9 cubic feet per second, up from the 1.5 cubic feet per second observed upstream at Site 1. As we follow the seep flows to the main creek channel, we see Medicine Creek again, just upstream from the bridge at Site 2. Moving downstream, it's only a short distance to Wellfleet Lake, located just to the west of Wellfleet, Nebraska. The reservoir has a surface area of about 50 acres at normal elevations and holds about 270 acre-feet of storage content. Wellfleet Lake is a recreational facility for the area and is owned by the Nebraska Board of Educational Lands and Funds and is leased by the Wellfleet Community Club. Wellfleet Dam is on the southeast end of the lake, a quarter mile from town. From the top of the dam, looking northwest across Wellfleet Lake, we can see the top of the outlet structure and out across the lake surface. Turning around to look southeast, Medicine Creek stream flow passes through the small reservoir, making its way downstream. Here the view and flow appear similar in this later video taken on February 3rd. Leaving Wellfleet Dam and Lake, we'll continue to move downstream on Medicine Creek, turning next to a location about a half a mile south of Wellfleet, at a bridge crossing on Niles Road. From this spot at Site 3, located a little over 2 miles downstream from Site 2, we first look upstream to the west on Medicine Creek. As the camera pans slowly downstream, we again see signs of the gaining nature of the creek. Seeps on the right bank can be seen here, discharging into the creek and boosting overall creek discharge. Now, as we turn toward the downstream face of the bridge, we see the results from gauging measurements taken here, which again reflect gaining conditions, with stream flow right around 13 cubic feet per second for both measurements. The channel width is also gradually increased from the upstream site locations as the stream continues on to the southeast. We move on from Site 3 to the next observation point, located about 16 miles downstream, as Medicine Creek turns more easterly away from Highway 83. Site 4 is near a bridge crossing on Highway 23, about halfway between Maywood and Curtis, Nebraska. First, we'll view the site looking upstream to the north, using video taken on January 16, 2014. This footage, taken at ground level just upstream from the bridge, provides a good vantage point to observe the bank conditions in a channel reflecting increased stream flow conveyance capacity as we move downstream. Stream gauge measurements taken here by DNR staff show stream flow of around 23 or 24 cubic feet per second, continuing a roughly linear rise from the flow rates observed at upstream sites. Turning downstream, Medicine Creek flows under the Highway 23 bridge and to the south before turning again to the east, continuing its track toward the Republican River. From Site 4, the next observation point in this video is located approximately 5 miles to the east-southeast. Site 5 is located about a quarter of a mile south of Curtis, Nebraska, at the Highway 18 bridge crossing. First, let's examine conditions looking upstream on Medicine Creek, again viewing the channel from ground level, just to the west of the bridge. Measurements taken here by DNR staff indicated stream flow of a little over 27 cubic feet per second, again increasing as we move downstream. Panning around from the west to the south, and then eventually to the east, the gaining flows in Medicine Creek continue under the Highway 18 bridge, later turning southeast. Leaving Site 5, we move downstream a little over 14 miles southeast. Site 6 is located about a half a mile east of Stockville, Nebraska, again on Highway 18. From this site, we'll start with the view upstream to the north, looking from the top of the bridge. The channel width has increased again from the upstream sites, and the creek from this location is roughly 10 miles upstream from the upper portions of Harry Strunk Reservoir. Measurements taken here by DNR on January 21, 2014, showed stream flow of over 40 cubic feet per second, about 14 cubic feet per second higher than the flows upstream at Site 5. Turning toward the downstream face of the bridge, Medicine Creek flows south as it continues its journey toward its confluence with the Republican River. Having now observed sites along the upper and middle portions of Medicine Creek, we can now turn toward the lower portion of the watershed, focusing on 3 fixed gauging stations. The first 2 stations are located upstream and downstream of Harry Strunk Reservoir, a reservoir managed by the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. First, we'll look at the upper gauging station, located roughly 6 miles upstream from the upper portions of Harry Strunk Reservoir. This station, DNR 068-41000, formerly managed by the U.S. Geological Survey is now owned and operated by the Nebraska Department of Natural Resources. The gauging station itself can briefly be seen here. Turning back to the creek channel, the camera pans from the southwest, looking upstream on the channel, slowly around to the northeast downstream. The channel here is increased in width as compared to upstream. Downstream from the gauging station, we move to Harry Strunk Reservoir and its associated Medicine Creek Dam. Flows from this facility are for irrigation, flood control, and other purposes. Just downstream from the dam, DNR maintains at their cost another important gauging station. This gauge, DNR 068-42-500, is the RRCA compact accounting gauge for the Medicine Creek subbasin. Stream flow data collected at this gauge is used for water use and allocation calculations made for the Republican River Compact. Stream flows are measured at the gauging station located on the right, or west bank of Medicine Creek. Stream flow at this gauge is directly affected by operations of the dam outlet works. From here, Medicine Creek travels along its final reach, flowing south toward its confluence with the Republican River near Cambridge, Nebraska, roughly 7 miles downstream. The confluence can be seen briefly in the following aerial footage taken on September 19, 2013. As the video pauses, the last section of Medicine Creek can be seen flowing from the left or west, as highlighted in the light blue, with the Republican River flowing up from the southwest, shown in yellow. From the confluence, it's only a few hundred feet downstream to USGS gauging station 068-43-500, located just east of Cambridge on the Republican River. The Republican River at this location flows from west to east. As the camera pans around to the south and then around to the east, we see an ice-covered Republican River. A close look and you might notice where borings in the ice were made by dedicated DNR staff that made a streamflow measurement on January 8, 2014. The gauging station itself is briefly visible here. From its headwaters born in the sandhills to the north, to its confluence with the Republican River, this concludes our virtual tour of the Medicine Creek subbasin and of the N-CORPE Augmentation project. The real-world conditions of Medicine Creek and operational components of the project that we have seen here together provide a good foundation for understanding the actual conditions of this stream.